So, why the title? Fallout 4 has you starting the game proper by having your son kidnapped by some random dude. And once you get out of the vault, you should feel compelled, at least in theory, to immediately search for your only living family, a helpless infant no less, because you do not know how much time has actually passed. However, the first substantial thing you're pushed to do is visit Concord and save Preston and a few civilians. Just as a side, why did no one else in that group have their weapons out, besides the dead Minutemen at the museum's entrance? They all had at least a pipe pistol, right? Oh, right, back to it. You save Preston, maybe escort him the 100 feet or so to Sanctuary, and then he immediately tries to get you to take over the Minutemen. Even if you've told him about your kidnapped son, so he knows how urgently you should be searching. And this is just one example of the sidetracking that happens. It's also one of the most egregious. If you were pushed to join the Railroad, it would have made more sense, since they supposedly have an expertise in information gathering and personnel extraction. Not that they're very good at it. Seriously, guys, at least stop calling him by his Institute name out loud. As for the Brotherhood, they would likely have no interest unless they knew the events around Sean's kidnapping were tied to the Institute. And they wouldn't exactly be planning any rescue mission to save one baby. That's not their MO. And it still wouldn't matter for these purposes because their Tomorrowland Sky RV doesn't even show up until Kellogg's fertilizer. I wonder if you can compost Frosted Flakes. This pervades most of the early base game. Almost every major player you encounter wants something out of you, regardless of if they can help with Sean or not, with the exception of Nick. Bless his plastic heart. Once you rescue him from those wannabe wise guys, which he did not ask you to do, his distraught Bioshock secretary tells you about his capture. You make the decision to save him, preferably because he can help you find Sean. By the by, the fact that you can use charisma to extort more money out of the secretary is honestly not well thought out either. Money should be the last thing on the mind of a grieving spouse who's searching for their abducted baby. Then you follow a few more quests to find and pay Kellogg a visit, leading to you meeting Sean as an old man. This is where the game should have opened up for most players. Let me explain that one. Before this point, most scenarios where we can empathize with the main character have them immediately and aggressively searching for their child. But since this is an open-world Bethesda game, we are free, even encouraged, to spend literally in-game months or years just putting around or building civilization. The disconnect between your character's motivations and your freedom to, say, build lion statues in random places or raise an army is bizarre and very noticeable. It just doesn't work. Now, what makes Fallout 3 different? Well, your character is a young adult teenager who was living a fairly normal, if not rather dull life in a vault. You only leave said vault when it's discovered your father, who once lived on the outside, has bolted from the vault. And the Overseer, who has already shown himself to be a bit of an ass, and at odds with your old man, has gone full power mad dictator and has ordered your capture, interrogation, and very likely execution. This becomes obvious considering the Overseer's actions have already caused multiple deaths within the vault before you're even woken up by Amata, and he doesn't care. You only escape because you don't want to die. There's even dialogue where you can tell Amata, "You're the Overseer's daughter, can't you fix this?" Heavily implying you don't want to leave the vault and follow Daddy Dearest. And since you learn very early that your dad is both from outside the vault, more than capable of taking care of himself, and you fully realize, or at least strongly suspect, there's no going back to the vault, searching for him becomes more a matter of choice or convenience rather than having to find your literal infant son who is with cold-blooded killers. So you feel little to no guilt in exploring the world and meeting the people, and maybe asking the occasional person about his whereabouts. After all, he's a grown man, and you're a teenager. What teenager wouldn't indulge in their first real taste of freedom, for a while at least? The way it's set up just makes more sense for an open-world sandbox. Well, thank you for listening to my inane ramblings, and have a good day, y'all.